A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Mary Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello, lovely to see you all. Thank you very much for joining us today. And I'm so pleased to be able to welcome Bartosz I'm going to have difficulty saying this, Dziemidowicz. How did I do?
That's very good.
That's
very good pronunciation.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. It's so lovely to see you, Bart, because you are in our Homeopathy 24/7 homeopath team, and you are a biologist. So brilliant background to come into homeopathy. Tell me a little bit about that. How did you find homeopathy?
I studied back in Poland. I studied homeopathy. So I studied biology. So I'm a biologist and I specialize in human physiology. And at that time, I didn't know anything whatsoever about homeopathy. This came to my life later when I came to the UK. I studied homeopathy here, and I find it quite, those two, although they may seem very different, but I think one can help the other, because my knowledge in biology I believe, helps very much in this, what I know about homeopathy, what I do, and what I know and I do about homeopathy. So I think it's very good blend. Yes.
Yeah. It seems to me, it's so important because you actually go into the depth of disease. And we have to talk about illness, obviously, and what happens to the body. And of course, that transposes then into symptoms and the different symptom pictures. So, it's a brilliant background to have, isn't it?
Well, when I started with homeopathy, always what interested me is that when you look into materia medica, when you look into a picture of any remedies, you're going to have literally endless list of different symptoms, which, to be honest, are fairly random, because we know there would be a list of mental symptoms, physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, general symptoms, how certain temperature, that time of the day, different, how those factors affect how the person experiences their disease, and how are they connected? What is the relation between them? And I think, putting now this biological filter into this, what I believe, might be the answer to this, that when we look at the certain group of substances which we know body produces, they called signaling molecules, and these molecules are actually used in a body to communicate between nervous system, hormonal system, our immune system, and our mind, or our psyche. So these are, this is the conversation which those different aspects having, and that might be explaining, for example, why when we come, across we get infected with something, we get ill with something, with a bug, would it be what we're having at the moment, a huge wave of, strep throat. You see, we started having a fever, we started feeling a little bit, down or a little bit melancholic. We want to drink something, cold or something warm. And this is all how, what's happening in the background is communication. These molecules are used, to actually transmit that messages. And it would be very different in terms of one condition or in terms of different condition. And you see, I'm working at the moment with guys with Lyme disease group, and these signaling molecules are huge factor in actually Borrelia infection and Lyme disease.
Okay.
So I'm glad. Sorry.
So it just brings together so many different points, doesn't it, about how the body communicates and what the symptoms actually mean, and also what is happening during a disease or during a virus, during a bacteria, what's happening. So you're seeing that quite a lot with treating Lyme.
Yes, you will. It's like when we look from homeopathic point of view, we're gonna have a symptoms, the list of different symptoms. But so these are the facets of that, that what the disease picture or remedy picture is. But you see, when we look at different level, different angle, we know that what is happening underneath that, for example, there's going to be the whole cascade of something happening on the cellular level when body is trying to fight that bacteria and prevent it from spreading and so on and so on. So I think this allows me to look at different levels of the how we're getting ill and how we're getting better.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about immunity, because this is a topic that everybody just wants to find out more about. To keeping themselves more immune, what can they be doing? Can homeopathy help boost immunity, especially if there's disease, viruses, and all sorts of things going around from everywhere?
Well, I think homeopathy definitely can help. I don't know anything better than homeopathy which actually can help with this. You see, the reason why I'm saying is exactly this, connection between homeopathy covers that connection between nervous system, hormonal system, immune system, and our mind. Because, well, let's just look. It's enough to scare somebody very, very much. And for example, if this would be a woman, her period can stop for months. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody having an accident, and you see, this is when the shock, the trauma experienced by nervous system is being translated into hormonal system. And this is how we're getting, for example, stuck in a process of disease. So you see, working with different patients, we see that, for example, you can get, flu or cough or something exactly the same that doesn't have to be a physical reason for it. That doesn't have to be a pathogen. You see, it's enough that I have a lot of stress. I have an exam at school. I have moved house, and this depletes my energy, robs my immune system, because a lot of stress takes a lot of energy, and this is how door opens in a sense, and any bacteria is welcome to actually put me to bed, so I have to rest and recharge my batteries. So in this case, looking at this different wider angle, homeopathy would be perfect for that.
Yeah, I understand. So actually, these germs, the viruses, bacteria, they're kind of around us all of the time, and depending on our health and on our immunity, then whether we're more or less susceptible to it actually affecting our health. Can you, and obviously in this day and age, we have got so many degenerative diseases, haven't we? And it seems to be growing all of the time. Do you find that quite often the symptoms are very similar in different diagnosis?
Well, homeopathy is very versatile. So we can treat immune system, we can treat deficiencies of immune system, any coughs, colds, and so on and so on. We can treat any, for example, state of mind which is not ideal or not perfect. We can deal with anxiety, we can deal with depression, we can deal with many of these things. We can also, when we look at what homeopathy can offer, it also can be applied in dealing with more, let's say, heavy, more debilitating conditions affecting nervous system. So all the problems with neurodegeneration. So we're talking about Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, MS, homeopathy does also have application there. And I'm not talking only about, for example, using remedies in a sense how we use it normally. We can prescribe looking at the whole picture, but we can reach slightly deeper and look at those, for example, connections between those symptoms. What is happening there inside that, for example, in Alzheimer's disease, we know the person will start losing memory, okay, but on the physiological level, this translates into losing number of nerve cells, neurons, and then losing connection between themselves. So then homeopathy, also can be applied there.
Okay, it's brilliant, really, isn't it? I mean, we've got access to this fantastic medicine that actually is looking a lot deeper and can really change cells. When degeneration has taken place, it can help cells regrow.
Well, the problem with those conditions is that so far we consider them only one way, in a sense that allopathic medicine, or we all the allopathic medicine, nutrition, naturopathy, homeopathy, we all trying to very hard to slow those processes, or stop them ideally, but slow them. And whoever got in touch, the family member or somebody who they know who is affected by that kind of conditions, they know how devastating is this equally for the person as for a family. And then in this case, because of this, I think it's even more interesting for me. What else can we do, to help those people?
Brilliant. Yeah. So where do you go with this?
Exactly. Where do we go with this? I think going back to our signaling molecules, there is the whole bunch of them called neurotropic factors, which they are used for by nervous system. And we know that in those conditions like MS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer, the levels of those molecules are affected. You see, people with, for example, higher level of neurotropic factors slows down progress of Alzheimer's disease. And now, if we, alongside of our normal homeopathic prescribing, for example, try to do something to increase the level of those neurotropins in the brain, that might be our chance to slow down progression of the disease. So we can work at different levels at the same time, which probably gonna give us better chance to do something about that. And those molecules, those neurotropins, they, the same like many different substances, can be potentized, that can be used as a homeopathic remedies. And this is when we probably say, hey, similar, we can use it, in prescribing it, for the condition, knowing that, for example, with this condition, we don't use labels in homeopathy. We treat the whole person, we treat the symptoms as they are presented. But you see, looking from a different level, we know that person will have a problem with this. So then we can use remedy made out of, for example, neurotropic factors in order to help them to slow down progress of that condition. I don't know, hopefully this makes some sense.
Yeah. It just has triggered that actually in the last couple of days, I had a conversation with somebody who was asking who they should be talking to, because they have got a family inherited susceptibility to Parkinson's disease. What can they be doing now before symptoms begin to strengthen them? So this is a bit like just building that immunity to that inherited susceptibility, isn't it?
Oh, exactly it is, because it is known that, for example, in homeopathy, we always ask our patients, and how about your parents? How about great parents? What they were ill with, okay? What's happened to them? So we're trying to predict that inheritance, okay? So what's going to be happening with that person? Now, with neurological conditions, it is known that the process of that degeneration starts much, much earlier before the symptoms are manifested.
Yeah.
So then again, we're going back to our immunity. What can we do actually to prevent this from happening? And it would be a huge aspect of immunity. There would be a huge aspect of autoimmune conditions, because all those conditions, MS, Alzheimer, there was huge aspect of autoimmunity. So it is not only, that's a slightly different story, because it is not only our resistance towards external pathogens, but we are preventing one part of the body turning against to another, because this is what autoimmunity is, when one part of the body immune system doesn't recognize anymore that, for example, this is my thyroid gland, and starts attacking it. And this is huge problem itself. But on the longer run, this is where I can say probably this is when we're looking at further progression, what the cancer is. And the part of the body is not only not recognized as my own, but it started living its own life, growing and taking over. So again, this is our immunity, presented outwards and inward. Homeopathy here, I think, nothing better than that.
It's really interesting talking to you about this, Bart, because of course we are usually very reactive. We are treating the symptoms that people are presenting with. We're helping people once they've got a condition or once they've got symptoms. But what we're talking about here is actually exploring how we can be helping people before they get rheumatoid arthritis, Parkinson's disease, or other cancers that their family are suffering with or have suffered with before them. So this opens up a huge area, doesn't it, that people could start to be aware of. What can they do in order to build up their resilience?
Exactly, Mary, because when we treat acute illnesses, okay, homeopaths will always probe around, okay, how did it happen? Did you get it before? Did you get this? So we can see far much ahead that I don't want to be we can see that it may evolve into something more chronic. Or sometimes we have, for example, situation when the person is already suffering with chronic disease, which is managed up to good result, and what we have to deal with is just a flare-up of the condition. Okay, but we say, hey, we can treat the flare-up. That's something that we can help with, pain. We can help with this and this and that. But you would ideally like to do something more about, the bigger picture, because in a year, in 2 years' time, it will progress, and
Yes.
you want to have it. You don't want to go there.
Yeah. Now, of course, when people usually do come to us for full consultations, and quite often we are giving a miasmatic remedy anyway to help everything. The way that the homeopathic remedies work are often improved after a miasmatic remedy. So it makes sense that we are already looking at these things without being asked, aren't we?
Exactly. And miasmatic remedies, they have a tremendous ability to actually change that, our destiny, in a sense, predestination. And funny, concept of homeopathic miasms, okay, homeopaths talk about this, nobody else seems to understand it. To us it's a big deal. But I come across an article when actually scientists, okay, medical scientists or biologists, okay, people exploring bubonic plague in a 1200 or something, they actually discovered that people who were exposed to that, massive, wave of illness, this has changed their genetics.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is in a sense confirmation by biology or medical science of homeopathic biases. And yes, we can be much more proactive because we can actually do something about this before it evolves into something, less ideal.
Yeah, yeah. Gosh, it just opens up so much, doesn't it? But we could talk for ages about this. Thank you so much for coming here today and opening up.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Because I think we've just opened up something that just really needs to be explored in greater detail. Will you come back and talk about this again with me?
Oh, of course, most definitely, of course, because, as you said, we opened something which is, worth exploring, and there is much, much more to it. So I'll be very happy to come back and share another bit. And thank you very much for having me here. Very much appreciate. Thank you very much, Mary.
You're very, very welcome. Lovely to see you. Speak to you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you so much, Bart. It was so lovely to be able to talk to you and go through the degenerative diseases in detail with you. Next week, I will be talking to Karen Runacres, and we will be discussing trauma. We'll be discussing emotional and physical symptoms and their relationships together. And of course, how trauma affects symptoms of all types. I look forward to seeing you then. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.